Russia's use of hybrid warfare has become a significant challenge for NATO in recent years. Hybrid warfare is a type of conflict that involves the use of a combination of military, economic, political, and informational tactics to achieve strategic objectives. In this analysis, we will examine how Russia is using hybrid warfare and how NATO is responding. Russia's hybrid warfare. Russia has used hybrid warfare in a number of ways to achieve its strategic objectives, particularly in its interactions with neighboring countries. Some of the key elements of Russia's hybrid warfare include 1. Information operations. Russia has been accused of using propaganda, disinformation, and cyber operations to influence political processes in other countries. This has included the use of social media and online disinformation campaigns to sow division and undermine public trust in democratic institutions. Political subversion. Russia has been accused of using its intelligence services to interfere in the internal politics of other countries, including through the use of targeted assassinations, the funding of political parties, and the cultivation of relationships with influential individuals. Economic leverage. Russia has used its economic power to exert pressure on neighboring countries, particularly through the use of energy exports and pipeline diplomacy. Military aggression. Russia has used its military power to achieve strategic objectives, particularly in its interventions in Ukraine and Syria. NATO's response. NATO has responded to Russia's hybrid warfare with a multifaceted approach that includes both defensive and offensive measures. Some of the key elements of NATO's response include 1. Military deterrence. NATO has increased its military presence in Eastern Europe, particularly in response to Russia's actions in Ukraine. This has included the establishment of a multinational NATO brigade in Poland and the Baltic states, as well as increased military exercises and training programs in the region. Cyber defense. NATO has increased its focus on cybersecurity, particularly in response to Russia's use of cyber operations to influence political processes in other countries. This has included the establishment of a Cyber Defense Center of Excellence in Estonia and increased cooperation between member states on cyber defense. Intelligence sharing. NATO has increased its intelligence sharing and cooperation between member states, particularly in response to Russia's use of intelligence services to interfere in the internal politics of other countries. Economic resilience. NATO has increased its focus on economic resilience, particularly in response to Russia's use of economic power to exert pressure on neighboring countries. This has included measures to diversify energy sources and increase cooperation on economic issues between member states. Information operations. NATO has increased its focus on countering disinformation and propaganda, particularly in response to Russia's use of these tactics to influence political processes in other countries. This has included the establishment of a Strategic Communications Center of Excellence in Latvia and increased cooperation between member states on countering disinformation. Analysis. Russia's use of hybrid warfare has posed a significant challenge for NATO, particularly in its interactions with neighboring countries in Eastern Europe. Russia's use of disinformation campaigns, political subversion, and economic leverage has undermined trust in democratic institutions and destabilized political processes in these countries. NATO's response has been focused on a multifaceted approach that includes both defensive and offensive measures. NATO has increased its military presence in Eastern Europe to deter potential Russian aggression, while also increasing its focus on cyber defense, intelligence sharing, economic resilience, and countering disinformation. One of the key challenges facing NATO in countering Russia's hybrid warfare is the need for a coordinated and unified approach between member states. The effectiveness of NATO's response will depend on the willingness of member states to work together and to share information and resources. Another challenge facing NATO is the need to adapt to the evolving nature of hybrid warfare. As Russia continues to refine its tactics and techniques, NATO will need to continue to develop new strategies and technologies to effectively counter these threats. It is also worth noting that hybrid warfare is not a one-sided phenomenon, and NATO has been accused of engaging in hybrid warfare tactics as well. This includes the use of cyber operations, economic leverage, and political subversion in its interactions with Russia and other countries. Looking forward, it will be important for NATO to continue to adapt and evolve its approach to hybrid warfare in order to effectively counter Russian aggression and other threats to security and stability. This will require a continued focus on building resilience and cooperation between member states, as well as continued investment in new technologies and capabilities to counter evolving threats. In conclusion, Russia's use of hybrid warfare has posed a significant challenge for NATO in recent years, particularly in its interactions with neighboring countries in Eastern Europe. NATO's response has been focused on a multifaceted approach that includes both defensive and offensive measures, but the effectiveness of this response will depend on the willingness of member states to work together and adapt to the evolving nature of hybrid warfare.